Hey, what's up? Welcome to the news. I have a question. Would you develop a relationship with a mango if you could? Yeah, more on that later. We'll get back to that on the back nine of these. I'm just trying to reiterate that it is necessary to acknowledge that attention is a thing. And there's only so much of it at necessary times. There's only so much attention that can be given into a certain amount of items. So it's necessary to try to gather and develop systems to be able to just try to focus in certain realms so that energy can spin about a plate of differing items that when in essence it's necessary to keep only certain items on the plate of attention, and ultimately the plate is only so big it doesn't necessarily expand or contract, but it's relevant to be able to keep a certain relevance of items within that plate so that in essence the plate of items of your attention are able to stay within the plate. And what I mean by that is to cross over energies to be able to develop an understanding for what's on the plate as a whole, and then also try to not keep things that are not energetically similar on the plate at all so that they can be subtracted and be detracted so that the things that are on your plate of attention are just relevant and that are in essence assets, just in essence assets on the plate. And in essence there's like also an analogy of plates that are spinning, which is kind of an analogy for employees, or an analogy for keeping things going that are outside of your realm of attention. The realm of attention has to do with items that are possible to just keep going in terms of emphasis and focus and energy and attention, because energy flows where attention goes, and attention goes where energy flows. So therefore what's on your plate are things that you're trying to grow, or not necessarily manifest, but just try to grow into your mindset and your mind's eye and your mind's window to the soul, which means the more focus and such, the better the functionality with the connection to the soul and the mind and the eye and the brain to be able to flow and focus with on those attention items for sure, which is why it's relevant to only keep so many attention items on the plate of attention that's worth the attention to begin with, meaning they're assets, meaning they can all grow in terms of a portfolio and they all sort of flow together and they're all kind of like interrelated and all sort of have like synergy and also can be like packaged in a certain way so that the attention in essence flows together and it's synchronous and it's fluid, all of the items on a plate, but at the same time leveraging other people to be able to keep other plates spinning so you can keep your own plate spinning, and that's real good. And that plate can also trickle down to other plates that you can have other people help with because they have shared interests with you and they can keep those plates spinning, because it's just sort of in everyone's best interest if they're partnering with you on opportunity and they're able to keep those plates spinning. That's kind of like a portfolio as a whole, because you can only keep track of adding new things to the attention plate for yourself, and ultimately those new plates that you can't keep into your attention realm, you have to eventually start to be able to parse those out. And eventually if people can also keep those things spinning, you have plate spinners that are around you that are partners, that are artistic partners, that are keeping that art spinning, because every little venture and every little value piece kind of has art at the center of it, because it's also speaking to a cause at the back end of it, which is a story, and that story leads to the cause at the back end of it in terms of why people should support it and promote that cause and support that cause. And so therefore there's philanthropic energy that's flowing through it to be able to get from to keep those plates spinning in the first place, to be able to keep the cause going, is because there's philanthropic energy connected and flowing through it. And to keep those plates spinning, we are mutually agreeing on philanthropic energy value that is worth expanding upon with the plate spinners, so that those plate spinners are also contributing to the greater philanthropic energy equation. And that's what we try to focus on in this podcast as well and such. But plate spinning is also just an analogy for a greater portfolio and just finding opportunity and making money and also monetary energy from opportunity in the market through demand and fulfilling demand. So that's a necessity. In addition, we have the item of fulfilling a lot of opportunity in the form of a tornado. A tornado is an example that is an analogy which speaks to the ability to be able to fulfill differing potential, and how that looks is by, in essence, looking at the analogy of a tornado to be able to acknowledge being in the middle of various energies so that it also flows together and is able to be able to function like one greater feeling when you're able to not only keep all of your attention in one place because you have plate spinners on the outside as well, but you have opportunity on the outside of your attention. You also have plate spinning, and you also have items in your portfolio and your businesses and such things. It's business energy, it's monetary energy, it's philanthropic energy that's floating on the outside of yourself, and when it all encompassed that way, you're in the center, and in essence it's meant to feel like a tornado because every day changes and everything's evolving and everything's consistently changing, and many energies are outside of yourself and your own control. So therefore it's kind of like being in the middle of a tornado when things are actually trying to work out, and you have monetary energy flowing around you, and you have positive energy flowing around you, and you have assets flowing around you, that it's kind of like a tornado because you're in the center of the tornado and you're just flowing with the energy that's surrounding, that's very much outside of your control and has nothing to do with you and has to do with outside forces in the world and the universe, which is infinite. And it's very much like you're in a tornado because it's ever evolving and you're just sort of inside of it, you're just floating and flowing with it, and it's very powerful and interesting and intricate, and you just kind of flow like a tornado. And so you just kind of go with it in hopes to get the feeling of things that are like successful and consistently and continually growing, because changes are ever present. They're ever present indeed, and there's no sense of comfort at all, and it's ever present unfolding energy that's brand new every single second. And that's much like a tornado because it's very chaotic and epic, because ultimately the energies are ever evolving and changing and shifting and shape-shifting. So it's very much like a tornado because changes are ever present and they're imminent, and it's very much a part of the whole item where you can't do anything about it, but it's hopefully that you're riding the right waves, and all those waves are hopefully adding value to your portfolio, and monetary energy and money, in essence, is also what that means. And therefore, in this new world, we're also talking about philanthropy energy in a way which we want to try to expand on, also leveraging money and monetary energy to bring into the realm, which also is going to try to leverage promotion and promotionality in terms of growing greater brand awareness. At the same time, trying to grow our monetary energy is through things similar to HSN, the home shopping network, which is like live shopping, which isn't that huge of a trend in this country necessarily, although it's growing, but it's been bigger in the overseas. But at the same time, we hope to try to leverage it because it's like promotion and at the same time selling. And at the same time, it's a trend that's sort of growing. And at the same time, talking about a tornado that's ever evolving and such things. We're trying to ride the right waves that are trying to be part of the trends that are moving in the right direction to be able to try to increase the process of a portfolio growing on a consistent basis. And that's one of the trends we hope to ride, is that HSN, Home Shopping Network, vibe and trend of growing attention through live shopping, because people are eagerly interested in buying things through live shopping, and it's a good trend to be able to facilitate. And why not ride that wave? Because it's available. So while we do flows like this in a home shopping network sense, we're also selling things on the backside of these podcasts, so it's a little bit similar. At the same time, live while we're recording this, at the same time we're trying to facilitate and do the things which are like we're talking about doing, but at the soonest time possible. And indeed. And to conclude, we're going to talk about animal communication in the form of also connected to that nursery rhyme, merrily, 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 life is but a dream, because in that sense, things are very whimsical indeed, and animal communication is something that's very whimsical indeed. Once we tune our antennas, it's very interesting indeed to be able to try to connect with people in a very surreptitious way that's hopefully intentional, but has to do with the energy fields that surround us in very many ways that are very unfamiliar, in a similar way that animal communication is, in a very similar way that the nursery rhyme, merrily, 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 life is but a dream, is facilitating, because in this philosophical concept, we're just floating along with energy similar to a tornado and similar to tuning our energies to the frequencies that are surrounding us. So we're just kind of going with the flow. But when things get super quiet, when things get extremely quiet, when you get in tune with the spirit, in essence, and you clear out a lot of the noise and a lot of friends that seem like they're friends, but in essence, in reality, they're not necessarily, and you go for a walk in the forest and you connect with the plants, in essence, that is the truest frequency, and you're able to tune your antennas to the right folks that hopefully are people that are able to possibly enter into your realm because their frequency is crossed over, and it's like animal frequencies to a degree, but it's not necessarily known in the person, in the human frequency realm. And it's also possible to be able to try to acknowledge that to begin with, to be able to try to tap into it and understand the nature of animal frequencies to begin with. And yeah, because even if you had an interest to try to interview every person in the world and you spend every second of every day or every 2 seconds interviewing a new person, it's very difficult to do that, by the way, and then to try to translate that into people that you're able to connect with and make synergies with, it's absolutely very significantly out of context of reality to be able to try to even do that necessarily. So how can you even be able to use the time in a day to be able to translate that, to be able to function in terms of connecting with people that are super relevant in terms of developing assets in an asset portfolio, and not just like employees but partners necessarily that are able to contribute to the greater process, and good people that develop good assets you want to surround yourself with in your net worth equation. It's sort of a matter of trying to tune into those antennas, trying to tune into those animal communication antennas, in this merrily, life is but a dream mindset that has to do with clearing all elements and just getting clear and sitting in the middle of a lake, basically in a little small boat that allows the connection through the water to be able to just sort of create electricity through the water, to be able to conduct electricity with that animal communication to all the roots and elements in the forest, to be able to just get clear and cleansed, that nothing else exists except the animal antennas inside of you that are able to stick up into the world, and then the animal frequencies are able to connect in a swift manner as you glide along with your feet and cruise around and go from place to place, traveling and being in motion in life, in your atmosphere, to be able to then cleanse the elements so that only the right frequencies are able to match yours, and that hopefully good energies step into your realm by getting clear and getting cleansed and getting away from all the noise of your traditional life, so that hopefully the best asset portfolio energy can find its way into your life, in essence, through tuning your own antennas to begin with, finding the right tunes, finding the right channels and the right frequencies in terms of media where other people are that are doing similar things that match to your soul, and therefore being able to conduct out the right messages through your animal antennas and animal communication that's surreptitiously sending out peculiar signals in this merrily, life is but a dream arena filled with energies that are just trying to reciprocate peculiar, strange, ultimately unknown, peculiar frequency energies that resonate into your own soul, and therefore you can deem a depiction that will hopefully create itself by reflection to create a portfolio of assets that is able to reflect your true inner interest through ultimately focusing upon philanthropy energy, which is the core and the interest of giving and the global giving games, to be able to give things in best as possible means around the world, so that that global giving energy can translate into philanthropic energy, and all people can be able to play games with each other like kids, because kid connection energy is some of the best frequency energy to be able to revisit, to be able to create the global games, the global giving games in the future, and be able to have philanthropy energy, be able to be the fuel for these global giving games in the future, where every human is able to play like kids, even as adults, and that's sort of the goal, to be able to reconnect to facilitate the animal communication antennas, to be able to play like kids around the world and refresh and re-cleanse our energies, to be able to make the best atmosphere possible for everyone's experience as humans and such things as this time occurs between and within us all. Thanks again, DINKY, TehC, peace.